Hi guys, this is Suhaib live from Dubai, back in another LinkedIn Live with my very good friends today, especially the experts today on this panel. We have Sadaf Tokir and we have Steve Halligan joining us today. Sadaf is an NLP coach. She is, an EQ practitioner as well, a certified coach, and she's living in Dubai for almost a decade. We have Steve Halligan, who is the managing director and founder of the Core Group. He's been living in Dubai for almost 28 years, massive. And he's a business coach and consultant and advise companies how they can, motivate their employees and engage them for an increased productivity and to achieve peak performances. Thank you very much, guys, for being in the show today.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Suhaib.
Thank you. So that especially your topic when it comes to, the positive mindset, especially when people are working from home, I think is something which is really, really, in demand right now. There have been a lot of articles, a lot of content is being shared on the social media platform, work productivity from home, positive mindset, emotions, behaviors. So what do you say about this?
In simple words, I'll keep it short and sweet so we can get audience to engage in it. Positive mindset is an attitude. In that attitude, you see usually the bright side of things, the good side of the problem, the opportunity in chaos. That's what positive mindset is. So if we are talking about any time which are difficult, which are unusual, how we take good out of it is the key when we talk about positive mindset. Yeah.
Right. And Steve, when it comes to positive mindset, what is your definition about positive mindset? As a business coach, as a business mentor, how do you take it?
Very similar. We all know when you get to a certain age in life, we know that you cannot dictate what is going to happen to you. That's for sure. You can try, but you have no control over many things that are going to happen to you. But the one thing you have 100% control over is how you react. So a positive mindset isn't just being blindly optimistic and hoping that nothing bad is going to happen to you. A positive mindset is having the courage to recognize that when difficult things happen, you need to face up to them. You need to decide this has happened. Now, what can I do about this and how can I tackle it?
Great. So is it like something, and is it like the positive mindset is an inborn thing in everyone? Like they already have it, or like it can be developed, or it's like a behavior? As Sadaf said, it's an attitude. So how do you see this? Can we improve this like positive mindset?
Sadaf, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Interestingly, there is a big debate on nurture and nature, where many people do talk about it all the time. I can give my personal opinion because I've seen people changing. Like for me, what I feel is problem is a mindset. Right. So we have seen people how they have outgrown from a problem, though they were coming from a poor, from not so privileged class, but still they turn around things for them. Right. It's not that they slept one day and there was a bag right next to it with all the instructions what to do about their life. It just happened. It came within. Right. So I am a firm believer of this fact that, yes, whenever you realize then you have a problem and you're the only one to fix it, you take charge.
So how do you think, Sadaf, a healthy mind will keep the productivity ongoing while working from home?
It's challenging. Why? Because our mind looks for trouble.
Okay.
As a regular, our mind is created to protect us. So whatever we don't like, our mind makes sure to get us all the stories that we want to listen and we want to believe in. So it's like we are in war with our mind at times. So if we are at home, there is something which I usually talk about with my clients as well, that you change the script of how you talk to yourself in your mind. Like you don't say that I am stuck at home. You can say I'm safe at home.
Right.
It depends on how you look at the picture. Emotion is just a filter. Whatever you put in out there, it will cross that.
Okay, great, wonderful. Steve, if I come to you, when it comes to productivity from home, since we see now a lot of people, they're working from home. So how do you see this productivity can be increased? Because a lot of people, they think that, working from home, sometimes it is quite boring. Sometimes, you feel like caged and you don't have that drive, the motivation to wake up early in the morning. So how we can, handle this and increase the productivity while staying at home?
Okay, I'll come to that just in one second. I think the other thing I would add to that point about the mindset, there is a big debate about nature and nurture, and whether some people are more positive than others. But there's been some research recently I saw that said on average we have 12,362 different thoughts every day, which works out to about 1 every 5 seconds if you sleep for 8 hours a day. In itself, that's not an issue, but what is a problem is up to 70% of those are negative. So we are hardwired to see what is wrong in a situation before we see what is right. And I think that's what Sadaf is talking about. When we have to rewrite the script, it doesn't come normal to us to see the good. It comes normal to us to see the bad. So when you look at things like working at home, first of all, I think you're absolutely right that you have to change your mindset. It's not I'm stuck at home. I am choosing to work from home. I want to work from home. The mind is very, very sneaky. If you say, oh, I have to do something, automatically you don't feel like you want to do it. So if you say, I want to do this, then you have a slightly different attitude moving into it. So the first thing is shift your mindset. The second thing I think is to try as much as possible to keep some kind of routine. If you think of working at home and say to yourself, well, I've got all day, I'll do this when I want to, and I'll do that later. Let me just sit down and watch a bit of TV for 10 minutes and let me do it. It'll never get done. So try as much as you can to have a structure to your day. Identify the evening before, if possible, what are the key tasks and activities you want to do the next day, and then block them into maybe 1 hour chunks during the day and have sort of 8 1-hour chunks of going through your key tasks during the day. And of course, one of the great things for motivation is to be accountable. We've been trying to encourage our customers for years to sit down and watch attendance at work and start measuring activity. So just because someone goes into the office every day doesn't mean they're doing very much. If you work with your managers and agree on a series of outcomes that you need to achieve, then you have all the motivation you need, because he or she's going to be chasing you every day and saying, hey, where is this? Where is that? What are we doing on this issue? So it's a combination of changing your mindset, having a structure and a system and some processes, and setting yourself goals and objectives that you can agree with your superiors.
Beautiful. And I think, Steve, you have been working from home. I mean, like, because of your setup, you are an entrepreneur. You have, you handle with a lot of clients from home. So how do you manage your work? I mean, okay, so one side is you get yourself disciplined. You wake up early in the morning. You divide your whole, the day job into different chunks. But when it comes to, let's say, also to exercise yourself, brain exercise, where you take some short breaks and then you go out for some exercise. And how does it help as well when you put your physical exercises out there to nurture your mind?
Well, first thing I did was a few years ago, I got myself a dog, and that helped a lot, because once in the morning and once in the afternoon, you have to go for a lengthy 45 walk. So he makes me get up early in the morning and start late. Next thing is for the last 15 years or so, my wife and I have been heavily involved in meditation.
Right.
So my next thing in the morning is to do 1 hour of meditation. And that really clears the mind. If the first thing you do is wake up and start checking your emails and start making phone calls, your mind starts racing away. You've lost control of the day. So it's a really good thing to do, to take some, not physical exercise at the moment, but some mental exercise, and just calm yourself and still yourself before you start the day. And then, as you say, when break times occur, you've got a choice. If you're lucky enough to have a garden, maybe you just go out and have a little bit of a walk around in the garden, clear the air. Look at something on the internet, but not too much, because obviously all the news at the moment is not all good news, and that can make the conversation even more. But take a break. I'll take a break every 3 or 4 hours and maybe just go and watch a little half-an-hour comedy program, just to lighten the mood and make me feel better. Talk to some friends and relatives if you can contact them online. Talk to your family back at home, or talk to family or friends who are isolated from you in Dubai. But then, if that's why it's so important to have that list of things that you need to achieve during the day, because then you have to come back to that and make sure that you've done that.
That's right. Great. And Sadaf, I'll come to you as well. Since you are a mother as well, and you're a consultant as well, and you also, advise different companies, and you also conduct now you're conducting online training programs. So how you're managing your work at home, as a mother, as a consultant, as someone who is, as a business coach as well, as a public speaker as well. So how are you doing all these things together while sitting at home from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.? And also we have some interesting comments here. We have Muhammad Sufyan, who's watching us on Facebook. We have Asad Khatak, and we have Ghazal Mehreen. And this one comment I would like to show here. Ghazal Marine is saying, agreed with Steve, have to adopt this attitude. I want to do it, instead I have to do it. So I think, Steve, you have said it wonderfully.
Because when you're married, you have to adopt that attitude as well.
That's right. Great. Okay, over to you, Sadaf. How are you managing, all these things?
Okay, see, just before answering, my table just trembled for a second.
Did you have a lot of work to do?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's never ending, to tell you the truth, but it's for everybody. Okay, I'm not saying it's more or less. The only problem, first of all, thank you so much for asking this question. Okay, not many people ask this question. The insight about it is that it's not that the to-do list is too much or too less. It's about there is a lot of interference which is not in our control. When you're living with the family, especially coming from a collectivism society, where you are supposed to take care of many things, you are expected to do certain things in a certain way. There are many, baggages that we carry, more or less. So we decide kind of few rules in the house, like to keep my sanity. I've asked my children, they are 15 and 11. I've asked them that don't shout mama, mama from a far spot.
All right.
Just because I don't want to go into that panic of screaming back, yes, what is it? Mama, I need this. So I tell them, whatever you want, come to me. Okay, everybody will get whatever they want. Just come to me, talk to me, and we'll sort it out. So yes, it's a bit complicated because many things are not in your control. Like, for example, but yet again, I do agree with Steve that there should be a schedule and everything, but yet again, I say if you cannot do it the way it is because of any circumstances, there should be a way for you which works for you. Okay. Right. Sadly, I don't have a schedule. Okay. Sadly, I wish I would have a schedule, but I don't. But this doesn't stop, things moving forward.
Right.
So if you have it, very good, but you'll come across people with many problems. I can't do this because
exactly.
I cannot do this because. Okay, so it's when problem comes to you, it's your choice how to handle it.
I think because it's the biggest setback.
Yeah, I think I would echo that as well. While I'm saying have a schedule, the schedule is more to understand what you want to do that day. If your child comes in at 2:30 in the afternoon and wants to play with you for half an hour, you can make a judgment call and say, well, yeah, okay, I can do that. But you might end up working at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night after they've gone to bed.
True.
So you're working on the basis of deadlines rather than what we do when we go to an office, which is watching the clock. The clock has reached this point now, so I'm not working anymore.
Right.
I think at this point of time, I've reached to a point that output and the delivery is what matters. How you do it doesn't matter. That's what I've reached after so many, years of hustling and experience. I've reached that the goal we should meet a goal. How it's done, it's very subjective. It's very personal, kind of a decision.
Are you saying, Sadaf, is it because there are no team members who are, they're watching you, there is no boss, the company is not looking at you. So the company actually is only concerned with the work being done. So no matter how you do it, but at least by the end of the day, if the work is done, so that means that you have done your job. Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, Steve, I have a question here. So how do you think, since most of the staff is working from home, companies, they have asked their employees to go, globally, if you talk about, employees, they are on their paid leaves, they are unpaid leaves, they are people who are made redundant. But when it comes to companies making a contact, with their employees, still they are working from home. But then how do you think, as a business coach, as a consultant, that the efforts the company should make to stay in contact with their employees and staff, to keep them engaged, to keep them motivated, for their increased productivity?
It's really interesting. What we're finding with a number of our clients is that the communication has actually increased. Because when you walk into an office, you think, oh, I can go and talk to Sadaf, I'll go and see her later, or I'll pop around the corner and talk to her later, and you may not get around to it. But because we know we're all socially isolated, we've got customers that are having bi-daily phone or Zoom conversations. So they're getting the team together first thing in the morning, mapping out who's going to be doing what, when, and where, and then getting back again later in the evening and having the same conversation. So a lot of my clients are saying, we're actually having far more communication now than we ever did when we were just wandering in to the office. So that's related to to work, but also from a mental health perspective. A lot of our customers are reaching out to their employees and contacting them on a regular basis, particularly the ones that maybe are completely socially isolated here and don't have the luxury of living with their families. We know the work environment in Dubai has a large number of people who are what we call the orphan spouse. They're working here when their spouse and their family are living elsewhere. That's really, really tough for these people. So one or two of our clients have actually got a schedule, and the general managers put the schedule of people together. He'll make some phone calls, other managers in the company will make other phone calls, and they'll reach out on a daily basis and talk to the people that they know are completely on their own, not just to check on the work, but to check on their mental well-being and that everything's okay.
Right, amazing, great.
Agreed. Excellent.
So, while working from home, there can be a lot of distractions as well. So I want to ask both of you, what kind of normal distractions do you see and do you face while working from home? And how do you overcome them? For example, like, if I'm going to work, so, I would start singing, by default. So even if I'm doing like office work, so I will just sing by my own, But then again, I have to realize, oh no, I'm at work. But then again, I'm at home as well. So what kind of distraction do you face at home, and how do you guys overcome those distractions? And what are your recommendations for the viewers who are watching this live broadcast? Sadaf.
Okay, so we have got like 4 rooms in our house, and we are a family of 4. So it's hard to find a quiet place when you are doing a session like this, or when you are coaching your client, or when you're in a training session. So what I did actually was to get an iron table. And I'm literally sitting on my iron table, and this is kind of a fun that we working moms make at some groups, that it doesn't matter as long as we are getting the job done. So distraction, people at home, and everybody is homeschooling, working from home. So if my husband is on a critical call, then all of us have to make sure that things are under control. So yes, number 1 challenge, if you have a family and your house is full, then finding a quiet place is a challenge. And then initially, we had an issue with internet also, because there were too many people using the same frequency band. So we had to shift that as well. Right. Personally, motivation, I don't find it as a problem, because it really depends on a personality. Some people are driven by goals which are very internal. Some people are extroverted. They find energy from outside. So that element, I think it depends on personality.
Yeah, and then also maybe like as a mother, as a family member, you might have to take different breaks to go, for example, to feed the kids, to make the food as well. Do you think like it's a little hard for women who are working from home, like they have to do all those household chores as well, which otherwise they would not if they are doing 9-to-5 job in the office, and the only focus is just on the job. It
is like at home, it's more distracting than as it was compared to office, like a place, and responsibilities are added, of course.
You're right.
Yet again, I think whoever is there doing their job, they are doing an amazing job, because yet they are figuring it out. So it's again, pretty individual approach towards their problem. But yes, there is another challenge for sure.
Great. Awesome.
Steve, we're in a slightly different situation. Our children are grown up. Okay, so there's just my wife and I together in the house, and she works with me anyway. So most of our work, our day is talking about work anyway. So I don't have the external distractions. I think you have to break things down into 2 categories. You've got the external distractions that you can't really control, like your children. There was that great example about a year or 2 ago when the guy was talking about Korea on the news, and his little daughter came in. He was live on Sky News, and the daughter came in behind him. And then everybody thought that went viral. Those kind of things are very tough to. Steve,
did you see the female version of that thing? They actually made a female version, and it's hilarious.
Yes, I did. How a woman would have dealt with it much better. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, like she's actually cooking on that seat.
It's very funny, because men we get more. We know that. So I think you have to separate out the external distractions from the internal ones. What I have to focus on is the internal ones, which is basically laziness, procrastination, being distracted. I have a kind of butterfly brain where one thing to another to another. And that's where the whole idea, for me anyway, of discipline, and having listed out my challenges and tasks, I set myself goals, myself objectives, and then alongside the client-based objectives, because there's nothing like a client chasing you up every day saying, where is this report? Where is this information? Have you done this? Have you done that? To make you focus. So I think you have to distinguish clearly between the things that are outside your control. Simple things like don't get distracted, take your phone away, even turn your emails off for a while so that you don't get a little box popping up in the corner saying who's contacting you, because that distracts you and you lose your train of thought. But mostly for me, it's about discipline. It's about understanding what you need to achieve and staying focused. And then making sure at the end of the day, we talk about making a dynamic bargain with yourself. So what do? At the beginning of the day, you make a bargain and say, if I have done this, 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 and this, I have had a good day today. Right. Because it's never ending. We don't work in an environment anymore where we can rub our hands together at 5 o'clock and say, I've finished everything I need to do. There's always more. So you've got to make this bargain with yourself. Is that if I've done this, 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 and this, then yes, that will be a good day. And I can relax during the evening and feel good about my contribution.
That's right. And as I can see, Steve, you have been working from home now, and you might feel like your home is the best office. And now if you would go to the corporate world, that 9-to-5 job and sitting in an office table, locked in the office with the team members. So that might be a different scenario. There might be a different environment for you to,
what is for me, unfortunately, I'm a social creature. So when I go to people's offices, for me, it's a social outing. It's not to do any work. I talk to too many people, I distract them. So I'm probably not good news to have around an office for any length of time, because I don't see that as a work environment. I see that as an opportunity to get to know people and have a chat.
All right, great. So we can take a comment here, and this comment is from Asad, who is watching us, and he said, what would be the best suggestion from the panel to get motivated during this time? So while working from home, so what will be your one tip that can help you stay motivated while working from home with all that distractions, and also you have to finish your work, and the emails are coming through, your kids are crying, you have to prepare the food as well, the maid is coming, the maid is calling, the bell is ringing, your phone is ringing, SMS, friend SMS, Zoom meetings, plus also you have open all the social media channels. It's so distracting. But then again, what will be your tip for all those who are working from home?
And then the siblings start fighting.
I do like it when people talk about having younger children. It takes me back.
Yeah. Do you wish it to come back, Steve?
Well, I have a granddaughter now, but she's in the UK, so I don't get to see too much of her.
Wow.
No, I think one of the things you experience through life is that each stage of your life has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. So I'm not sure I missed that part. On the motivation side, I think there are two types of motivation we have to be very clear on. There's what we call moving away from motivation and moving towards motivation. So moving away from motivation is usually based on fear. So let me give you an example. Let's say that I become a little bit overweight and I become unfit. My first motivation is probably moving away from. I think I don't like this anymore. I feel uncomfortable. My clothes don't fit me. I'm out of condition. I'm out of breath. I need to do something about that. So what people find is the initial kick comes from moving away from motivation. Now that will get you so far because you'll start going to the gym and you'll start exercising, you'll start eating sensibly. And then you'll get a little bit of a result. You'll start to lose a little bit of weight. You'll feel a bit better. If you don't have what we call moving towards motivation, the chances you will slip back into your previous behaviors because you've made some gains. So you think, oh, everything's getting better. I'll have that ice cream or that burger or whatever guilty pleasure is. So what I would suggest, I've forgotten the name of the person who asked the question. What I would suggest is that he needs to look at two different types of motivation. What is basically scaring him at the moment and making him want to do something and move forward? And then can he set some positive goals and objectives once he's got past the pain threshold and is not scared anymore? Set himself an attainable goal that is positive, that makes him want to move forward even more.
Right.
Okay.
Great. I think absolutely wonderfully explained as well. So your tip, how to stay motivated.
Excellent, Steve. Thank you so much. Okay. So what I've seen and I've learned over the past years, there are some work I've done with CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, And I did this for 6 months, and surprisingly, very interesting findings came across my knowledge. Um, Motivation, people think that if we are motivated, we'll do something. That's what usually people, it's the other way around. We feel
Why
motivated
would
to
you do
do
it?
something. So motivation is action. You take action, you are motivated. You take action. So what usually people do, they look at the other way around, that, okay, we are not motivated enough to do more. The question here in hand is that you will do something and then you will feel motivated.
All right. So it's an excuse already in their mind.
Yeah, for motivation, they have to take an action.
Okay. All right.
After
So
taking action, then they can decide.
great. I want to ask you one thing here. So especially for the job seekers now, or let's say employees who are made redundant right now, and they're sitting at home, they're looking for more job opportunities. How do you think staying positive will help them grab more opportunities, or they just have to wait for the next few weeks to few months until the situation gets back to normal, and they would have again the opportunity that they can apply for? But do you think even the candidates who are right now at their homes and they are made redundant, and that with a positive mindset, with a positive attitude, with a go grab attitude right now as an achiever, they still can grab more opportunities?
Okay, can I rewind this movie a little bit back?
Sure.
Before reaching to this situation where they are struggling for a job, there is something which I would like to discuss overall as a generic individual. People are addicted to their stories, especially the negative ones. So if we are in a problem, we would see like the light in the tunnel is very far when we are in a problem, when we are in any sort of trouble. When we are going through problems, there are so many overwhelming emotions that we feel. Emotion is emotion, this energy which needs to flow regularly. So if we are overwhelmed by some negativity or an issue, we need to process that emotion first, that okay, this emotion is coming, I won't try to block this emotion with any sort of barrier. I let it process. When it's out of my system, then my mind will start working, because our emotions are usually connected with our thoughts. And when a problem comes, our thought button is just going to a way where we don't want.
Right. Great.
So for job seekers right now, I think, yes, it's all the overwhelming feeling, all the negativity, it's real. Let it process through your system. Okay. Sit down and figure out what you want to do. If there were no jobs in the world at all for anybody, what will you do in that time? Answer this question. I know for sure, like there are so many people in my circle, they are offering free coaching session, and these coaches are like, world-class bestseller authors. They are offering free courses, free coaching. There are so many things that they can do online. They just need to have a mindset that they are not in trouble.
Yes.
They are looking for opportunity.
I think it's also how you're going to use these social media platforms now. And while sitting at home, it's an opportunity for you to discover your inner strengths, to discover your potential, and unleash all those abilities. And especially when you were at work and you always wanted to do something, you always wanted to establish a business, you always wanted to start your own blog or your YouTube channel, or use your social media platforms for more engagement. So now I think this is the time where you can connect with more people, you can run a tribe, you can enlarge your network to grab more opportunities. And I think Sadaf has explained wonderfully. Steve, one question here: how do you think the fear of unknown right now? Everybody.
I was just going to add something to the previous point, if I can. I think you're absolutely right. That it's a good opportunity for people to reevaluate where they are. We do a lot of work on employee engagement, and we find around 65% of people are doing jobs they don't enjoy anyway. So nobody wants to lose their job, and no one wants to lose their income. But there is sometimes a silver lining. Maybe it'll give you that kick to start and do what you really wanted to do anyway. But one thing I would suggest to people is you've got to look at how you are looking for jobs. Go and look at your LinkedIn profile. Make sure it's up to date. Make sure that it is saying the right things about you. Look at where you can add value to organizations, and be specific about the organizations you target. Now, we're a consultancy business. I get emails from people saying, "Dear sir, I would like to join your company, and I'm a forklift truck driver." You know, you've got to be very specific about the companies that you target, and show them that you've done some research about their organization and that you appreciate what they do as a company, you like the vision, the values, the ethos that they espouse. Don't just send out a blanket email and CV to everybody saying the same thing and hope that's going to get you a job. So yeah, I have a great deal of sympathy for those people who find themselves in that position. But can you take it as an opportunity to reevaluate where you are in your life? And is it something that you really wanted to do? Because most of us don't end up doing what we wanted to do when we were 14, 15 years old. We end up doing something completely different. And secondly, please don't just start sending out CVs to the world and his wife saying, "I'm looking for a job." That's not the way you're going to find a job in this difficult time. When we come back to the fear of the unknown, yeah, I think that is the biggest fear. When you go to a horror movie,
Okay.
the scariest part is when you don't see the monster. When you eventually see the monster, you go, "Really? I was scared of that. Why was I so frightened of that?" So what we need to do is communicate to people. It's the unknown that causes the problem. And unfortunately, the human mind has the ability to create a much worse future than is often encountered. There was some research recently I saw that said in 85% of situations, the thing that you were worried about doesn't actually happen. And even when it does happen, in 96% of the times when it does happen, it's not as bad as you thought it was. So we've got to try and keep things in check and keep things in perspective. The unknown is scary, we don't like it. But first of all, we have to ask ourselves, how likely is it that that thing is going to happen? And then we have to have a plan that says, if it does happen, what's the worst that could happen to me? What am I going to do? And then come to terms with that worst and say, okay, let's imagine that has happened. How do I feel now? And then how do I move forward from here? Anything better from there is an improvement.
Correct. And we have one comment here from Amit Sharma. He's watching our live broadcast. Thank you, Amit, for watching. And he is saying, if you can ask the experts, what is your productivity rule? So is there any productivity rule that you live by, that you work by? For me, my productivity rule is to, when it comes to me, work from home. So is to get up early in the morning. That's the worst thing. If you're working from home and then you are, watching Netflix or movies, or you're sitting just on the YouTube and you're sleeping like 2 a.m. in the morning. And, as Sadaf mentioned earlier, while she was saying at the end of the day, what matters, while you're working from home is to get the job done. That's it. So no matter if you're waking up then at 9 a.m., at 10 a.m., unless you have business meeting or you have to answer some important emails, but at least, and if by the end of the day you have done the job, that's more than enough. So my productivity rule is to get up early in the morning, because unless you are not disciplined, so, the rest of the day you're going to waste. What is your Sadaf and what is your Steve also? Productivity rule that you work by, you live by?
Mm-hmm. My productivity rule is I talk to that Sadaf pretty often who doesn't want to work. Okay. That Sadaf is it's like an NLP technique, okay, where you kind of mirror yourself and you see, okay, Sadaf, why are you doing it? So what's the problem? How you can overcome it? Okay. And then I keep a feeling with me. That is a reward which I get after I finish my task.
Right.
I get that feeling in the beginning, that if I finish this task, this is the good feeling that I will enjoy. That is my reward. So it's just a mental game where I question myself when I don't want to work. And then when I start putting in effort, I keep on telling myself, so wait for the reward. You will enjoy that like anything.
Wow. Great. Steve, your productivity rule?
Manage your energy as well as your tasks. So when you've listed out your key tasks you want to do for the day, some of them are quite easy and quick to do. Some of them are more complex and require more energy and involvement. So you've got to match the energy to the task. So I'm a bit like you, Sahib. I'm a morning person. So I tend to find it's better for me to tackle those complex, more difficult tasks when I have a lot of mental energy. And then I just take the small little tasks when I'm feeling a bit tired after lunch or later in the afternoon. Quick phone call, quick email, tidy up my filing system. So it's in fact, the latest thinking from a lot of time management experts is you're not managing time at all. You're actually managing your energy.
All right, great. All right, so I'll move on to the next part of this live broadcast. As we're moving on towards the end of this broadcast, there's one question that I also would like to ask. Which sectors will be more in demand? Because a lot of viewers, they will be more interested in knowing also, from the, from your wealth of experience and also from you, Sadaf, as well, that which sectors will now be more in demand. So there are some articles that I read on Google, but different articles from different websites, e-commerce industry, IT industry, programmers will be more in demand, healthcare industry, nurses, doctors, there will be more in demand now, in the upcoming months. So how do you see which sectors, in your opinion, will be more in demand, and any tip that you might have for the job seekers?
Rightly said, Suhaib, those industries are definitely will be booming, right? There is a problem which I can identify right now. Okay, it's in my home as well. It's every household maybe where this generation is, they are raising to be, inshallah, to be individuals who will be employed later on. Because of this homeschooling and e-learning thing, they are missing the human connection in their life. Okay, so it's not a generational thing, but I just feel that overall, generally, because of media, because of internet, yes, there's a plus side, but the disadvantage is that people are unable to connect with people not as they used to be. Right now, again, it's a whole different debate. But what I feel that I think emotional intelligence, people skills, these are something which will be in demand, because I've never done, let me just put it in that way, I've never done so many live sessions in my life. I've done in last 3 weeks on Instagram, on Facebook, people invite, and then things for people, it makes sense that yes, this time we have to process this emotion,
Wow. Emotion.
So this will be, I think, will be getting.
Great. And also, right. And also from you, Steve, I mean, of course, we'll take your opinion as well about the sectors. Plus also, if you can highlight which skills as in an individual do you think will be more in demand as a business consultant, because you're meeting with a lot of companies, you're meeting a lot of, individuals. So how do you see which skills will be more in demand in the upcoming months?
Okay, I think you're right. In the short term, obviously, it's healthcare workers, food delivery, any sort of distribution type. You can get a job at Amazon like that, apparently, at the moment. Good to get people. May not be a career choice, but that's what you get. Longer term, I'm not so sure whether it's going to be industries that are going to come forward, but I think what's going to happen is we will change the way that we work. Okay. So all industries will, as Sadaf is saying, will have a less focus on personal interactivity. So it's more about developing a new set of skills, learning how to use the remote technology, for example, that we're using today, learning to be more disciplined. I think a lot of companies we're talking to, even post the virus, they're going to talk about reducing their amount of office space and having a number of people working from home from a number of different days. So being able to add value, being able to show that you can be trusted, being able to show that you can manage a team of remote workers and you can motivate and engage people, irrespective of the industry you're in. I think those are going to be the key skills. And learning how to keep that personal touch, even when we're not allowed to have a personal touch away from each other. I think those are going to be key skills. And there are certain generations that are going to be probably better adapted to that. The generation Ys and millennials are probably going to find that easier because they've grown up with this technology.
Okay.
People of my generation are going to find it harder. For us, this is all still magic how this stuff works. I don't understand it, but I like it. Yeah. So I'm not so sure it's going to be particular industries once we start to loosen lockdown. I think it's going to be across the board. All industries are going to change the way. I can imagine finance directors sitting at the moment thinking, my goodness, we're saving a fortune on travel budgets. Why haven't we done this before?
Yes.
So I think it's going to change the way that organizations work, how they interact with their customers, how they interact with their business partners. And why do I have to fly to Saudi Arabia to have a meeting with a client in Riyadh? We've proven through this crisis that is just not necessary anymore.
Great. And when it comes to different tools of when it comes to workplace productivity, are there if it's even if you're still using those common tools, but really would like to know from some of you and Steve as well, for example, do you use Skype, Zoom, Microsoft Team, or is there any other tool or software that you use maybe good for the listeners to know as well? Or also like if you want to highlight any website which is offering different learning programs that you might want to give away.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of Zoom and WebEx right now, which I'm using.
Okay.
WebEx is more formal when there's a big number of people, and Zoom is usually, it's like, okay, I'm missing somebody, I'll just send a link, okay, let's talk. It's as easy as this.
Okay, all right.
Let's have a chat. And then Coursera is something which I refer mostly for my online learning.
Okay.
It's very helpful, it's very convenient, it has so many options, and it's just wonderful. And right now, it's a good time. I'm talking to everybody who's listening right now afterwards. Kindly, there are so many free coaching sessions that people are giving out for as a part of giving back to community. Kindly approach them. I truly believe in what you're seeking is seeking you. So as soon as you shift your mind from what you want, you will get. Whatever you increase in your mind will become your reality. Look for solution.
Great.
Yeah, I would echo that. Coursera and edX as well. edX is a very good website for all sorts of courses. The Mooch community, the massive open online course community, and there's some wonderful, wonderful things in there. On a personal basis, I use a product called Things 3, which is a task manager product. I think it's only available on the iOS platform, but it's great. I have it on my phone, on my iPad, on my MacBook Pro, and on my iMac. And you can use Siri, so I can say to it, hey Siri, add tasks to things. It will ask me what do I want to put in there, and I'll tell it, and it'll automatically put it in that list, and it will populate all of my devices. There's a guy called David Allen. If you haven't read it, he's got a very good book called Getting Things Done. And his philosophy in life is that the mind is a fantastic tool for having ideas, but not for holding them. So one of the first principles of managing your time effectively is as soon as you think of something, he calls them an ought to, should do, or could do. When you have an ought, should, or a could, get it out of your head and into some kind of system. Now for him, that's just a paper notebook that he carries around. For me, it's things. So if we have a meeting and then immediately I have to do something afterwards, I talking into Siri, they put it into things, it comes up as a task. I can tell it when I want a reminder, what day, and it pops up and tells me. Right. And then there's another tool that I'm using at the moment called Notions. I don't know if you come across this piece of software. It's a bit like Trello. It's very good for making lists of things. So things like reaching out to people on LinkedIn. I have a little database in there. When did I send them an invitation? When did they accept? Did I send them my introductory video saying, thank you, this is what we do? And then you can keep a track of many different things. Video content and web-based content. I have a content calendar. There's a template they give you on there. And of course, things like Evernote are still really good for productivity. Something where you quickly jot things down and it goes across all your devices.
Right. Awesome. Fantastic. So I think, you have all those tools. You're quite equipped and you're well emulated to go forward.
I'm a lazy person, so I don't want to have to do things over and over again.
All right, great. So guys, my last question to both of you would be, since there is, a huge amount of information is available online right now, and there are articles are being published, information from, from from different industries, from different sectors, plus also, about coronavirus, about COVID-19, people are being laid off, all over the world globally. There's like huge amount of information. So how do you think like this will impact while we work from home and we are consuming a lot of such kind of information? Sadaf, do you think this will increase the negativity in our mind? And as you, in one of your earlier live, you mentioned, that reptile mind will take over. And, and if you have that kind of negativity in your mind, then you will not work properly. And Steve, the question from you would be, so with all this huge amount of information, what kind of content should we only consume? All right, Sadaf.
Okay, so yeah, it's definitely tough times. Okay, nobody's denying that, and impact is worldwide. It's not about one home, one region. It's about the world, right? So yes, it's real. It's there. I think I would I'm trying to find the most suited words,
Yeah.
so people can actually think about it, that what needs to be done. This thing, whatever is going on, why is, we don't know. Okay. Usually in troubled times, what we question is, our reptile minds tell us why. Whenever there is a problem, people usually, why me? Why this happened to me?
Mm.
Why is it going on? So why is not a healthy question. What and how is a good question if you want to find problem. If you want to find a solution to your problem, ask what you will be doing, and how you will change it. Now, the impact of this problem is different for different people, mind
Right.
you, that because every household has a different situation, every family have, every country, all across the world, it means different for everybody. So if being an individual, try to figure out for yourself what works, what's your why, what's your how, what's your what. Okay, ignore the whys when they come up, focus on what and how. And then secondly, kindly do not consume all the information out there. It's pretty damaging. I purposely have stopped watching news which might create an emotional unrest, because I am unable to comprehend that information. When I cannot comprehend, I cannot understand, it gets overwhelming at times. So kindly do not, absorb all the information. If you are out there, you only have two options: either you are a content creator or you are a content absorber. So if you are only absorbing information from outside, just imagine it will be very tiring for you in the long run, because there is no other outlet. So it's so much information out there and you're the only individual. Just imagine yourself, like a target, and everybody is hitting on you. So don't put yourself in that place. Just
Right.
see what information you need and what is relevant to you and which will help you. That's it.
Awesome. Steve, what's your take on this?
Yeah,
Consumer content?
I would echo that. I think one of the challenges with the information age is that anybody can put information up and anybody can have a channel, and you don't know the authority of that person. So I've stopped watching some of the more extreme news channels that tend to sensationalize things, and just so I can't tell you which channels you should watch. Obviously, that's your own choice, but you need to think about the ownership of those channels. You need to think about what the political agenda of those channels are, and we all know the kind of ones I'm talking about. There are certain channels that don't really report news at all. They have a political agenda and they just want to do that. And then ask yourself at the end of each session, was this useful to me? How did this help? I remember years ago, I stopped reading the British newspapers out here because I was reading on Friday morning a copy of the Telegraph. And there was a story, tragic story, about a lady in Nicaragua who had been kidnapped by some rebels, and they put what they call a bomb necklace around her neck.
Right.
And they threatened to detonate this necklace unless her family paid them $5,000. And this is a Friday morning. I'm at Magrudy's, Gerard's in Magrudy's in Seattle, having a coffee and a croissant. And sadly, the story was a bad story. They couldn't find the money. They did detonate the bomb, and they blew it up. And after I read it, I thought to myself, why do I need to know this? How is this helping me in any way, shape, or form? The only person I can see that would probably help is someone who had terrorist tendencies and wanted to do something similar themselves and give them ideas. So from that day onward, this was 20 odd years ago, from that day onwards, I am very selective about the news that I choose to watch. So go on to sites like Flipboard, look at the magazine content and the news sources that you want. So you become the curator of your own news. You don't suffer the ignominies and the vagaries of what the editors of those news channels want to send to you. You decide what news sources you want, which ones are useful to you from an information point of view, and which ones enrich and nourish you. You know, we all have the flowers and the seeds of wholesomeness in us, and we have the seeds of unwholesomeness in us as well. And the ones that you water and nourish the most are the ones that actually grow. So if we're continually absorbing this unwholesome information, then sadly, that's the way our mind is going to work. Now, it doesn't mean we're blindly optimistic and we ignore everything else. Of course not. We do need to know what's going on. But there's got to be a balance. And if you look at 99% of the news channels, there's no balance. It's all bad and no good. So you've got to come and provide that balance for yourself.
Yes. And even if I share my experience here, initially I was, because as a content creator, I read a lot as well. But there was, I I was very engaged. I was very involved in reading different kind of news from different sources from all over the world. But then I reached to a point where, I said no to myself, because I believe that I have known enough how to take care of myself, how to keep the hygiene as the priority. I have understood it. I've understood that, but I don't want to see it again and again every day. But as a sensible person, it's your responsibility now that the information that you have taken, how you are going to, how you're going to utilize it in the real scenario, and then not reading again the same thing again. And I think definitely it might overflow, your brain. All right. So there is one comment here we have from Ghazal. She says, if I'm not mistaken, Sadaf and Steve mentioned sites for e-learning. Would be great if you could type names once again here. Would be easy for everyone. So Sadaf, if you could name those, or if you can put in the comments here, the live comments. Steve, can you?
Yeah, let me do that.
Can you see the live comment section?
Yeah, my favorite. Well, I can see the live comments. I don't think I can make one. I can make a private chat. I've just one.
So if you can just type in the comments for, I think for all the listeners, and so of you as well, if you can just type.
Yeah.
Mine's very simple. It's just the 3 letters EDX. EdX.
So from Steve, it's EDX.
I'll put it for Steve, EDX, okay?
Thanks.
Okay. All right.
There is a paid one that offers more courses and they're discounting heavily at the moment, called Udemy, UDEMY.
EDMY.
Yeah, that's a good platform.
And they're offering lots of discounts at the moment for people who locked in.
And sort of, there was one platform you mentioned. It's Coursera. How do you spell it? COUR.
I've written it. Yeah, course. COUR.
In the live comment?
I put it in live comments. Can you see that?
No, I can't see it.
I put it on comments. Let me put it here also.
It's the word course, so COURSE with RA at the end, Coursera.
All right. I love one line, which I keep on reminding myself when it comes to information or anything, in fact, in life, anything in life. It's important to know when to stop. It's a relationship, say it's, your high profile job, say it's information, we need to know when to stop.
That's right. Great. And so the last thing, so how our viewers can contact you, if they would like to reach out to you. Of course, I'm going to tag your names in the description of this post so that they can reach out to you. And by the way, to those listeners who have just joined us, this is Sohaib Hassan. We are doing a live today on mindset and increasing work productivity from home. This whole live broadcast will be available on my YouTube channel, which the link is in the, you can see in the ticker down below. Sohaib Hassan on my YouTube channel. The video will be live there in about a few hours from now. And you can watch the whole session again on my YouTube channel. So how the viewers can contact you, Sadaf, and how the viewers can contact you, Steve, as well?
Well, I am active on 2 social media platforms. One is LinkedIn, where we are right now. You guys can approach me, drop a message, either case. And then Instagram as Tauqir, STAUQIR. That's a bit casual. So this one, and plus my YouTube channel, which is thanks to quarantine time, that it's just a few weeks back. So you can get some information over there as well, but Instagram or LinkedIn.
Okay, great. Steve, how people can contact you?
Same thing, LinkedIn. If you look me up on LinkedIn, hopefully I'll come up fairly high in the rankings there. And then a couple of other ways. We just launched a new blog, which we call the Employee Engagement Oracle.
Okay.
People want to look up the employeeengagement.oracle.com, and the same name for an Instagram TV channel as well. So the Employee Engagement Oracle, if you look up that, you should find me on there, or if not, through LinkedIn.
Great. Awesome. So I thank you both for your time, and sharing your wealth of wisdom and your expertise around this topic, which I think was very important to discuss about this working from home, how we can increase the productivity, what are different ways that we can work, what needs to be done, what kind of information should be digested, and how we can best stay in contact with our team members, the tools that you have mentioned. And I think the whole session was very informative. I did learn a lot from you guys as well, and I hope our viewers have enjoyed as well. And we look forward to bring you more exciting session in the future with these experts and with more experts as well. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Sadaf.
Our pleasure. And everyone, stay healthy and stay well.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.